2 skeins of Caron Simply Soft paints is not enough to make a large shawl. But what this yarn is for is making a shawl, so I'm going to have to get creative here. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. For the past few months, I have been working my way through a yarn stash that was donated to a quilting group I belong to. And one of the yarns that came with it was 2 full skeins of this Caron Simply Soft paints. The color is peacock feather. It is absolutely gorgeous. Caron Simply Soft is just a nice yarn to work with. But there is only a couple hundred yards in each skein, and 400 and some yards is not enough. So I have a couple of great colorways that I've had the same problem with. On one of them, I'm planning a lace border in a contrasting color to get it just a little bit bigger. In this one, I decided to go with a different tactic. I also have some Caron Simply Soft in cool green. I do not understand that color name, but that's what they're calling it. Either that or somebody's replaced the ball band. This color is very, very similar, if not identical, to some of the colors in this variegated yarn. So at first I thought I was going to do wide stripes alternating the two, but I didn't really want to weave in ends because that is not one of my favorite things. So I started the shawl and knit the top of the back in the cool green. And then before transitioning to the multicolored yarn, I was going to do 2 rows each of the multicolored yarn and the solid yarn, and look at what happens when I do that. It kind of stretches out the variegated pattern and you get the fun of the multicolored effect without it being as chaotic as knitting in a multicolored variegated yarn sometimes is. I really like this a lot. And because I am switching every 2 rows, it just carries on down the edge and doesn't make a noticeable carryover of yarn. I'm going to have an end to weave in at the beginning and the end, and I think I'm just going to do it this way until I have a whole shawl done. Between the 400 yards of the peacock and the 315 yards of the cool green, this is going to work. I've got a lot of other variegated yarns in my own stash that I like the colors. I don't have enough to make a full big comfort shawl out of them, but I'm going to look for some other solids that will coordinate so I can do more shawls like this. It's easy. Switching the yarn every 2 rows is fiddly would be an overstatement. I think this is the quickest, easiest way to combine these 2 yarns and get a shawl that somebody will hopefully love. Let me know if you've got any other tips for working with a limited yarn supply to make big projects. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle, and this is my Romantic Tangle.